put money on and I keep the winnings. I pick Chris on points. I think Chris can make it a little bit not nice to watch early on. I think Chris will spoil Conor. Chris won't give Conor a chance early, so I think he'll do a lot of jabbing and holding. Like I said before, I think the size difference in the ring will be, a big difference with the reach advantage. And I think if Chris is trying to jab and hold Conor, the size will play a big part.
And in terms of yourself, you'll be asked this question a lot this week, but the experience you talk about, you feel Aaron McKenna's already a little bit nervous on the big stage. You're no stranger to it. How do you see your fight unfolding on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Arden will start very competitive, very eager, very busy. And I think once the fight settles down after 4, I think the experience, I think I'll be just a lot too cute for Aaron McKenna. And
it could be a good weekend for you. I mean, a big Liverpool fan, obviously a massive dream of Liam Smith's, being a big Liverpool fan, to fight at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Absolutely no doubt about that whatsoever, but it could be a special weekend.
Yeah, it could be. Like I said, big performance, announce I'm back and put myself back in the picture for not just the winner of the main event, but just all the other middleweights I was linked with before I lost to Chris. And I'll win Saturday and Liverpool will win the league Sunday.
OK, well, let's remind everyone at home, as if you needed reminding, the storyline attached to this fight. This is born rivals, but it's a path that was paved by their fathers 35 years ago.
Massive characters, so different, polar opposites. They're the perfect dance partners. You're either Team Chris or you're Team Nigel.
There was no in between.
Here you had two diametrically opposed individuals. On the one hand, the kid from East London streets, attitude, violent. Nigel Benn would walk into my office and I would never know if he was going to try and hit me or burst into tears and sob like a baby. Completely unpredictable.
Nigel Benn was my favourite fighter growing up. Fierce outside the ring, fierce inside the ring. His nickname was the Dark Destroyer, and I think he embodied that. There's almost this scare factor with him. He's the kind of guy you wouldn't want to see down a dark alley.
He would scream every time he knocked somebody out, like he wanted to beat him up again.
On the other side, you have Eubank. He would dress in exotic clothes purely because he knew it would get him front page on the tabloids.
The perception was that Eubank was the cocky, arrogant one, the showman with the big truck.
What I saw was a physical specimen that had put in a lot of work. He was the master of technique. Nigel Benn was the master of violence.
I just want to go in there and throw hell for leather at him. Not boxing. I don't want to stand up there and box. I want to go in and have a fight with him. That was my attitude.
Eubank, initially, most people hated him because of his attitude. It was like, who do you think you are? He walked around like an English country gentleman. He upset a lot of people, but they all bought a ticket to watch him coming, hoping he'd get beat.
My father was the underdog, the great pretender at the time, the guy that people thought was a bit of a hype job.
Over a period of time, they began to appreciate the enigma that was Christopher Livingston Eubank.
We just clashed. We were just so different, me and Chris.
Nigel Benn did have a lot of hatred for my father, and it showed.
My dad couldn't stand seeing you. Still has to have a lot of patience with him to this day, so I completely get it.
Nigel Benn was so destructive, and that's what he brought to the ring, a very different kind of style to Chris Eubank, and that was one of the most important components of this whole rivalry.
You don't get more of a beef in boxing than you had with my father and Nigel Benn.
OK, well, good news for those watching at home. I have been told that the main event are in the building. I mean, look, it's easy for us to probably stand here and act excited, but we're all fans deep down. You two have got a bit more skin in the game than me. You've been there and done it and won the T-shirt, but to be here and cover this event is really special.
Oh, incredible. And I always go, look, as Barry said, when there's a fight week, you know it's a big fight, it's a big show. But can you imagine, and I've said this to you, I've said it to you both, when the referee brings them to the centre of the ring, gives them their instructions, then sends them back to their corners, that energy, that excitement in the crowd, that says it all.
What is that moment? And that moment you just spoke about, it's almost as if the time just tends to stand completely still.
I don't... No, do you know what? That's okay, that. It's when you first get in the ring. And that's the hard part, because you step in. But the noise in that arena, as in the stadium, as Darren said, that noise is sort of going to go inwards and outwards. That noise, it'll be amazing, because all the crowd, they all get excited. They're on their feet, and there'll be a scream and a whoo. and then you know you're in a real big fight.
Do you know what Chris Eubank Jr. said recently? I saw it in an interview. He said it's one of the first fights he can remember in a while where there's two bad guys who both might get booed into the ring. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be one of those things I look forward to hearing. It's going to be some event, some night, it really is. And I mean, the undercard, this man here, he'll be feeling the nerves, as will Eubank Jr. There's so much on the line here. Pride, bragging rights, the family name, so much pride, so much on the line. I can only imagine how they're feeling.
It is that jeopardy, Barry, isn't it? The fear of losing for both is massive.
Of course, because it goes deeper than just your own pride. That's the truth of it. You know, but I would say they're always in big fights because they're big names. But for Conor Benn, this is his biggest fight, and it'll be Eubank's biggest fight. But he's boxed in stadiums before. He's boxed against bigger names. He's been underdogs. You know, he's more used to this than Conor by a million miles, by the way. So it's a lot of it is how Conor copes with the pressure. And if he can cope with it like his dad used to, that's why I still keep saying, the angrier he is, the better it's going to be for him. Because he'll be focused on that, not focused on, oh, there's 60,000 people, or the noise can get you, or as Carl Froch said when he boxed in Wembley, the cold air hit him. And that almost sort of shook him out of his focus. And I never really thought of that before. But, you know, all these little things that you don't really realise out in an outdoor stadium are different effects. Cause the littlest thing can, you know what it's like in a fight, the littlest thing, like you put your right sock on first rather than your left sock, all these stupid things you have, things can sway you. Little tiny things can get you out your rhythm. And maybe that getting out that cold air hitting your chest, you know, little things that you're not used to. And that's why for Conor, more than anyone else, he has to be really focused and just angry.
Yeah, I have just been told that Chris Eubank Jr. is upstairs currently being checked pocket-wise for any potential eggs. I'm not sure if my producer's having me on, but I have just been told that. Eddie said he expects this week to be a bit calmer. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I did. I think everything's done now. Everything's been said now. You usually get hot-tempered affairs at the weigh-in because you're one sleep away. But generally, I think it will be calm. But as I said, yeah, it's going to be backed up Saturday night. It's going to be incredible. This man here, yeah, talk about experience. I think that Liam Smith rematch holds him in good stead as well, because there was a lot of pressure going into that fight. If he was to lose again against Liam Smith, his career was over, and he passed that test. So he'll take confidence away from that.
Man of many coats, isn't he, Chris Eubank Jr.?
And he has a big collar. Notice that? But
how do you think he'll be feeling? Darren's talking about the nerves that no doubt Conor will be feeling. What about Chris in this situation?
Of course he's going to have nerves. I mean, but nerves are good. You need them to give you the edge. I think, you know, Eddie Hearn's here about weight as well. That helps. So being tight on the weight makes you a little bit edgy, and you need that little bit of thing. So nerves can help you, but they can also consume you. And there's a big valid point about being this stage of your career. Do you just go through the motions, and even emotional emotions, where you just think you feel it, oh, I know how I should act, how I should feel, and you try and force it out yourself? It has to be very organic how you feel. So if you're trying to pretend you're nervous, try and make yourself nervous, that doesn't happen. You're nervous or you're not. And sometimes when you're not nervous, that usually means you're either overconfident or you just haven't got that little spark anymore. So, you know, only he can answer these questions.
OK, well, I think we're going to hear from both sides of the main event very, very shortly. This is, of course, Eubank Jr. Benn. It's also Matchroom versus Boxer, Eddie Hearn versus Ben Shalom. Here's Thomas Treiber.
Let's continue and welcome Mr. Ben Shalom of Boxer.
Ben, you have a major show this weekend, Tottenham Stadium, over 60,000 sold-out crowd. What kind of atmosphere are you expecting?
Look, this is absolutely enormous. I think it's going to be something that goes down in history. It's the biggest fight of the year. It's the biggest event of the year. It's the biggest story in British boxing of the past 30 years. I'm delighted to be involved. Thank you to Boxer, Matchroom, The Ring, His Excellency. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to get this fight even made, but what a card and what an event we have to look forward to.
And look, there's no secret about the rivalry between you and Eddie Hearn. How badly do you want Eubank to win this fight?
Look, he's already told me it's on site, and so I'm just watching myself. But no, in all seriousness, this is about Chris and Conor. Chris is ready. He's had an unbelievable camp. he's taking this as serious as he's ever taken any fight, and he's ready to do the business on Saturday.
And what kind of fight are you expecting on Saturday?
Look, I think it's going to be an unbelievable first 2 or 3, extremely frantic. I think Conor's going to come out, but I think once it settles down, I think Chris is going to show him who's boss and take him out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
And now let's welcome Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing.
Eddie, you promoted a lot of big shows in England, obviously with Anthony Joshua, a lot of fights at Wembley Stadium. How does this fight between Eubank and Benn stack up?
Well, this is the biggest fight in British boxing outside of the heavyweight division since Froch and Groves. But this has something very different. This has an appeal to all kinds of demographics, all kinds of age groups. Everyone knew their fathers and everyone knows who they are. This is the greatest rivalry in the history of British boxing. Eubank Benn, 3, really, if you want to call it. But just a massive event sold out at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and a real important moment for British boxing and these 2 fighters.
And look, this fight obviously was meant to happen a few years ago, but it feels like it's a lot bigger now with all the build-up, right?
Yeah, of course. Look, the narrative was there originally. Now you've got 2 years of bad blood. You know, the controversy, the build-up, this week as well. But it's a great fight. You know, I said before, people talking about their fathers, of course, they're 2 of the biggest legends of British boxing. But these are 2 world-class fighters in their respective divisions. And our boy is just looking sensational, ready to do the business.
Yeah, and you say he's looking great. He's obviously moving up 2 weight classes. How do you think he's going to look on fight night?
I think he's going to look sensational. I've never seen anyone put work like this in training camp. I've never seen him sharper. I've never seen him more focused. He wins by knockout on Saturday night. There's no question in my mind, the team's mind, he's ready. And you will see a demolition job from Conor Benn on Saturday night.
Thanks, Eddie.
Eddie and Ben, if we could please have you stand together for photos, please.
Surprised they're doing this without security, Barry.
You know what? Yeah, two of the biggest punches in British boxing history, right there.
Wow.
I paid to watch it though.
I would. Aside. Would you, Darren? Would that sell out the O2?
Who wins?
Ben.
Listen, you have a go at Ben. I think Ben's a mover, I'm telling you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our main event this Saturday, scheduled 12 rounds in the middleweight division. Let's first welcome from Ilford, London, England, undefeated with 23 wins, 14 of his 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome the undefeated former WBA Continental Champion, Conor the Destroyer Benn.
Here we go then. One side of your main event, here comes Conor. And I mean, you only have to listen to the way he spoke in the build-up to this one. He said his game plan is quite simple. Hop, skip, right hand to the temple, left hook to the body. Good night, Chris Eubank Jr. He's keeping his cards close to his chest anyway, Jen.
I think he's going to come out all guns blazing. There's going to be education behind it, but the fire that this man has, similar to his dad, is going to be so evident on Saturday night. Don't blink, because this man holds centre of the ring and he lets bombs go for as long as this lasts.
Conor, you're a natural welterweight, moving up 2 weight classes, and in your middleweight debut, you're fighting one of the best in the world. How strong are you feeling?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it don't concern me in the slightest. You know, I've prepared hard. I've done everything I possibly can in the gym. I've left no stone unturned. So for me, I look at him, I ain't really too concerned. You know, I'll be him anyway.
This has been a really heated promotion, a lot of bad blood. Is it personal?
Yeah, it's always personal. Every opponent I fight's personal. People want to say it's strictly business. It ain't business. It's never business. If you're trying to put your hands on me and render me unconscious, it's never business. It's always personal. Every single one of my opponent. But this one has a little bit more history to it, should we say.
Yeah, you know, 30 years in the making, you might say, and you're going to fight him on Saturday at Tottenham. How badly do you want to get your hands on him?
Yeah, badly. I mean, I wish I'd done already. I wish I was fighting tonight. You know, so unfortunately we got to wait a few more days. But, you know, ultimately all the hard work's done. I'm excited to go in there and do a number on him.
And what's your prediction?
As soon as I get my hands on him, he'll know what's up.
Thank you, and best of luck.
And now let's welcome from Brighton, England. He has a professional record of 34 wins, 3 defeats. 25 of those 34 wins come by way of knockout. He is the former WBA interim world champion and current IBO middleweight world champion and ranked number 5 by Ring Magazine. Here is Chris Eubank Jr.
Here we go then. Chris Eubank Jr. makes his grand arrival into fight week. Says this is about cementing Eubank supremacy. If he loses to Conor Benn, he's told us that's it, Barry, that he'll sail off into the sunset. We won't see him again. Why add that type of pressure on your own shoulders already on a stage like this?
Until the rematch. But
very true.
No, but listen, even whether there's, I think if he loses to Conor Benn, we won't see him again. I mean, after the rematch, we won't see him again. I mean, what's he got to fight for? You've had a great career, there's plenty of money, and he's been a success. But this is a lot of pressure.
Chris, a fight many years in the making. You're the naturally bigger guy, 160 pounds, middleweight, and you're fighting Conor Benn coming up 2 weight classes. How much of an advantage do you think you have in the size, strength, and power department?
I keep hearing this 2 weight classes thing. He's not coming up 2 weight classes. His last fight was at 156 pounds. He's putting 4 pounds on. He hasn't been a welterweight for 3 years. This fight isn't about size or weight. It's about skill. It's about dedication. It's about expertise. And all those areas I excel in and have got many, many more years of experience over Conor Benn, and that will be the deciding factor on the night.
Well, yeah, you're certainly the most experienced opponent of Conor Benn's career. Do you think your skills are going to be too much, your jab, your power?
Again, it's, you know, this isn't any one attribute. I'm a complete fighter. You know, I've been doing this for so long now. I've forgotten more things than he knows. And that will show on the night. The experience, the dedication, and the will. These will all be the deciding factors.
It's been a really heated promotion. You're already fined by the British Boxing Board of Control. Can we expect to see any more shenanigans from you in this promotion?
Shenanigans? I don't do shenanigans. I do what I believe is right, and I do what I want to do. If you guys think they're shenanigans, then that's fair enough. I'm just being me.
And lastly, you've talked a lot about your desire to fight Canelo Alvarez at some point. What kind of statement are you looking to make on Saturday as you look into that fight?
The procedure will be parliamentary. That's the only thing I can say about the outcome of this fight. Everything will go the way I want it to go. I will be like a matador in that ring, and Conor Benn will be the bull.
Thank you, and best of luck.
Fighters, please face off at this time. This, our main event, Saturday, scheduled 12 rounds in the middleweight division. The undefeated Conor the Destroyer Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr.
Fair bit of a gap this time round, gents, on that face-off. No risks being taken here this close to the fight.
No, rightly so. I mean, you know, it's all fun and games. We love to see him go ahead, have a little bit of a push and what's have you, but there's always jeopardy and risk that the fight doesn't happen. So I think keeping that distance, and it adds to the intrigue, though, doesn't it? Look at Conor Benn.
Stone cold.
But you know what they said and the way they acted is just what we expect now. So there's no real shock there. No, still menacing, and articulate, I would say, with Conor Benn, and you know, Chris Eubank is always very articulate, of course, and dismissive. I think that's the story of the fight and the story of their personalities.
The procedure will be parliamentary. I believe we are going to be joined by Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. momentarily, which is fantastic news. Any questions lined up, Darren?
Yeah, I have, and it's how they, certainly Chris Eubank, that's who we're going to be speaking to. You dream about the fight since the moment the fight is announced. You're dreaming about that fight every single night.
Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you tomorrow.
How he sees the fight playing out in those dreams. But he looked big there, Eubank Jr., I must say.
One thing I do want to ask him about is the compensation, as he called it, to the fighters on the undercard. Of course, you'll remember October 2022, the original date in London that Chris and Conor were due to fight, and he gave them all a few quid. What did you make of that gesture?
Unbelievably special. It really, whether you got the money or not, I heard someone say, well, he can afford it. Well, but he didn't have to do it. I mean, it's a fantastic gesture, it really is. And I know it's a little bit to wind up Eddie Hearn and the rest of it, but still, those fighters got extra money, and this is a hard business to be in. So I'm all for that. I mean, I was on the other card. Did no one tell him?
He must have missed you out, I think, Barry. But Darren, you agree with that, and we will ask Chris in a minute. But
yeah, I mean, look, he didn't have to do it, did he? So fair play.
Okay. Well, I can see just behind me, Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. is making his way into the studio. Chris, welcome. Great to see you, sir. If we can just
good evening,
park
gentlemen.
You here. Good evening to you.
How you doing, Chris? You all right, mate?
A pleasure to see you, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us. Look, Chris, here we go. Fight week. The second time you've been in a fight week with Conor Benn, but being here, seeing the media, knowing the attention that is on this fight, truly what is going through the mind of Chris Eubank Jr. a few sleeps away now?
I'm calm. I'm very at peace with where I am in my life and where I am in this fight. I really do believe that everything I envision, everything that I have trained for will come to fruition. So I'm at peace, I'm calm, I'm grateful to be here, I'm happy. I don't have any chips on my shoulder, as Conor Benn always points out. I don't have any frustrations, I don't have any ill will towards people. I just want to go out there and have fun.
And in terms of your prediction, we just heard you up there, you said the procedure will be parliamentary.
Absolutely.
How does that look?
Domination in every department you can imagine, whether it's boxing, whether it's a gunfight, defense, offense, foot movement, speed, power. I am the superior boxer, pugilist in each of those departments and so many more, which is why I'm so confident, which is why I'm so relaxed, which is why I'm so happy.
How has this camp, Chris, compared to others in the past? Has there been more fire in the eyes?
I guess you could say that. I guess you could say there's been more fire in my soul, in my spirit, in my mindset. This is the biggest fight of my career. This is the most important fight to date, which is very rare for a 35-year-old fighter. Usually at 35, fighters' careers are behind them. Mine is, I'm still going up and up.
In terms of the motivation, Chris, for this fight behind the scenes, how do you compare, the motivation and the drive to beat Conor Benn in comparison with the fear of losing to Conor Benn? How have you balanced that out in your mindset?
Do I look like I'm scared to you?
No.
Well, there you go. There is no balance.
I'm scared.
Chris, a lot has been made about the weight. Forget about Conor's weight, about you making 160 after being 168 and coming back down with 160. But you look really healthy today.
Well, the weight cut doesn't really come into play. The serious weight cut doesn't really come into play until a day or two before the fight. So, this is where you're kind of starting to deplete. But the main stuff happens 24 hours before the weigh-in. I will look like a different man at that
as
point
we all
in
do,
time,
yeah, of course.
and I will feel like a different man. You know how it goes. But as of right now, I feel good.
Just very quickly, obviously, when this fight was announced, I'm sure you've dreamt about it plenty of times. In that dream, how does the fight play out?
He doesn't touch me. I impose my will I do everything that I want to do, and I dispose of him when I'm good and ready.
Doesn't go the distance?
Absolutely not. It's impossible for this fight to go 12 rounds.
Are you expecting him, as many are, when we see Conor, he always seems fired up, especially when he sees you, Chris. When that bell rings, is that what you're expecting for Conor Benn, just to come flying at you from the other side of the ring?
Maybe. I hope he does for the fans' sake. He says that's what he's going to do. It's going to take a lot of balls to approach me like that. But if he does, wow, this is going to be, fight of the year contender.
Okay. Barry, final one from you.
Where does the Eubank story go when you get the win against Conor Benn? Where does your story go from there? At your age now, as you said yourself, most fighters would be tapering down or even thinking about a step out of the door, but you seem to think that you've got a lot more years left. So
I believe I do. I really do. The opportunities are there. The opponents are there. The titles are there. So this just puts me on a level to where I can get all these fights made like that. There's always been politics in the past. It's been hard to make fights. It's been hard to get fights. After a win like this in a fight which is, it's surpassed what boxing is. Now it's mainstream. You win a fight like this, you can fight whoever you want after that,
And that Eubank supremacy, that's what you've said throughout the whole build-up, cementing the Eubank name, upholding the family name, ultimately, is that all what comes with the victory as well?
Keeping the Eubank name that little bit in front of the Benn name. Just a little bit. I'm not greedy. Doesn't have to be miles, but we have to be on top. They cannot get a win over us. I have to respect my father's history, his legacy, what he achieved in his career. I can't let him down, I can't let myself down, and I can't let my fans down. This is a deeply personal and important fight for me, and I can't wait.
Chris, we wish you the very best of luck on Saturday night. We hope we get to speak to you as well as the countdown to fight night continues. Ice in the veins then of Chris Eubank Jr, maybe not so much for myself. After that look in the eyes, I'm certainly sweating up here on the big stage. Here is a reminder of what else is coming your way this week. Of course, we will be back with the media workout tomorrow, 6 p.m. here in London, 1 p.m. Eastern time over in the States. And then, of course, the final press conference, likewise, 6 p.m. here in London and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And the fight week will continue with the weigh-in on Friday and then fight night, where all the talking finally stops. And I mean, we simply cannot wait, can we? And this weekend, of course, the action does not stop here. On Saturday night, so much to look forward to. A 35-year family feud in front of a sellout crowd at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, by now at DAZNboxing.com. Also, Cruiserweight World Champion Chris Camozzi takes on Andrea Italian Thunder Bishi at BKFC 73 over in Italy. Dream Boxing brings us Adrian Krasniqi versus Diego Ramirez on Saturday night. Plus, Kurt Scobie will take on Jesus Vasquez Jr. live from New Jersey, USA. And just remember, you can keep up to date with all the events on offer by heading to the DAZN platform and going to the schedule section, where you'll find all the live action, including, of course, the big one this weekend.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th. Eubank Jr versus Benn. Over 30 years of rivalry and hatred. I do hate him. Two warriors, two wars, but the feud was left unfinished. Then, a bloodline born. Legacy, respect. The next generation. My dad's my hero. A new destroyer. Rivalry in their veins. Hatred in their blood. This is going to be the bloodbath. For family. This is personal. I can't lose to this, man. History.
Eubank, Nigel Benn. This is a war.
Legacy.
This is the final chapter.
Eubank Jr versus Benn. Live on DAZN Worldwide. April 26th. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
Yep, so many big fights coming your way on your global home of boxing. Right here on DAZN. I mean, have a little look at this. This Saturday, of course, Fatal Fury, Eubank Benn kicks off a string of big nights coming your way on DAZN on May 2nd. Ryan Garcia faces Rolly Romero live from Times Square in New York City. A card, of course, which also features Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barboza Jr. and Devin Haney versus Ramirez. That's followed by Canelo Alvarez's pursuit of undisputed super middleweight glory once again. That one over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Pick one or go all in with the Knockout Weekend Bundle, exclusively only on DAZN, available to buy now. Then it's a Queensbury double, of course, Saturday, May 10th. Anto Kakache defends his IBO Super Featherweight World title against Lee Wood in a great fight in Nottingham. Then May 17th, do not forget, it's the big rematch at the Copper Box, affectionately known now as the Copper Bosch, here in East London, as Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen do it all again. Then on May 24th, Josh Taylor makes his Queensbury debut, moving to welterweight to face Eko Esserman in Glasgow. All part of over 185 fight nights. And the good news is it's all live right here on DAZN. Well, I didn't get chinned by Chris Eubank Jr, which was good. But listen, just listening to him speak there, he said it himself. Does he look nervous? No, he doesn't. Ice in the veins. This seems like standard procedure for him.
Yeah, look, you could argue and say he's been there and he's done it, he's seen it all before. Like I say, that rematch with Liam Smith, there was a lot of pressure going on him, but this is different altogether. This is something that not many have to experience. There's so much on the line here. But yeah, he does look calm, he does look cool. As you said, Barry, as well, he looks good on the weight. I just want this fight. I want that first bell.
What did you make, Barry, just quickly?
Well, it's typical him, really. But he did say that this is my biggest fight, you know. And think about that Billy Joe Saunders fight. At that stage of his career was huge, you know. And nobody wanted him to win in that crowd. It was a pro Saunders crowd. So he's coped with pressure before. But I think he's realising this is a huge fight and this can change my career. Not his financially, he's fine, but this can change his career and he maybe get that world title shot that's always eluded him. Or world title win, I should say, that's always eluded him.
Now, we do have something quite fun to end on. I am being told, now I'm not really sure how this is going to go. Obviously, the card this weekend brought to you by the wonderful, prestigious Ring Magazine, but also SNK, City of the Walls, Fatal Fury. Now, you would have seen some behind-the-scenes promo footage of Conor and Chris and the promo that was released, which was absolutely incredible. Now, I've been told that we have been transformed into the game, and I can tell you we have not seen this. Oh. So anything could happen here.
Is that me?
Is that me? Well, I'll take that all day long. They're very generous on the hairline there.
Sexy, if anything, I would say.
But very handsome.
The arms are about right. Yeah, I just can't see under this jacket.
Yeah, you're big arms.
You're wearing the same shoes, actually. That's fantastic.
Look at that. Let's see Darren Barker. Actually looks like you as well.
That is exactly how I look with my top off.
Wow. Could see you in them boots, a nice pair of Doc Martens, maybe. Double denim, though.
You look like a Chippendale.
I'll tell you what, I'm buzzing to see Barry.
I can't wait for mine.
The great Barry Jones.
Oh, look at that!
He's got hair. It's The Rock.
That takes you back to '96, just before I had to shave my hair off.
I mean, I'll take that, Jamie.
I'll take mine all day long.
Yeah.
All day long.
I just didn't look short, so I'll take it.
Well, listen, this is just day one, by the way. The grand arrivals in the books. Don't forget, join us tomorrow for the media workout. And as you would have seen there, us three don't look quite as good in the Fatal Fury game as these two. We'll see you tomorrow.
本部へようこそ。ここでは画廊伝説のすべてが保管されています。
He's Howard.
Here, you can see our server room, where millions of players are playing online as we speak. Here you can see the original artwork of
Speed. Speed, where are you going? Whoa! Yo, Chad, this place is sick! Yo, what is that red button?
Bro, don't do anything stupid.
Nah. It must have a new game in this. Chad, should I hit the red button?
Do not press the button.
Chad, should I take it?
You're mine. Let us finish what your fathers couldn't.
Speed, do not press the red button.
Son?
Oh no.
What's up?
Destiny has brought you here. 32 years in the making. The fight no one could make happen. Now I, East Howard, will make it happen. Chris Eubank. Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Fight!
Oh my God, Chad, are you getting this?
I'm gonna get you out of that speed.
Oh, you boxers ain't built for this. Chad, this is crazy. Oh my God.
Come on, son. Yeah. Okay. Reset. Oh, Jesus.
Time to end this.
Oh, thank God. Help, my friend's stuck. Ow!
Finally, time to settle what your fathers never could. Fight! The fight that started a legacy continues. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. The fate of a family legacy will be decided